We spend our entire lives trying to be samano. From the moment we enter school, we are told to stand out, to be extraordinary, to leave a mark on the world. We carry the heavy burden of our own importance, constantly anxious about our legacy, our reputation, and our impact. We treat our lives like a grand stage where every mistake is a catastrophe and every failure is a permanent stain. But what if I told you that the greatest relief you will ever feel comes from realizing that, in the grand scheme of the universe, you are completely and utterly insignificant? What if your smallness isn't a prison, but the key to your freedom? There was once a man named Julian, a high-powered executive in a city made of glass and steel. Julian was the definition of important. His calendar was a battlefield of meetings. His phone was an extension of his hand. He believed that the world rested on his shoulders. If he stumbled, he thought, everything would crumble. This belief made him successful, but it also made him brittle. He lived in a state of constant existential dread, a quiet fear that he was never doing enough to justify his existence. He was a giant in his own mind, but a slave to his own ego. One night, pushed to the edge by a failed merger, Julian drove far away from the city lights, deep into the heart of a desert. He stepped out of his car and looked up. For the first time in years, he truly saw the night sky. Away from the artificial glow of the city, the Milky Way spilled across the heavens like a river of diamonds. Millions of stars, millions of light, years away, burned in the silent void. In that moment, Julian felt a strange sensation. He felt himself shrinking, his problems, his career, the catastrophic failed merger. It all began to feel impossibly small, compared to the ancient light of those stars. His entire life was less than a blink. At first, this realization felt cold, like a vast loneliness. But then, it transformed into a profound sense of liberation. He realized that if he was small, then his mistakes were also small. If the universe didn't depend on him, then he was finally free to simply exist. He didn't have to be a protagonist in a cosmic drama. He could just be a witness to it. This is the cosmic perspective. When we realize our insignificance, we experience a form of ego dissolution. We stop seeing ourselves as the center of the universe and start seeing ourselves as a tiny, beautiful part of a vast, interconnected whole. Think of the famous pale blue dot photograph taken by the Voyager spacecraft from billions of miles away. The Earth is nothing more than a tiny speck of dust suspended in a sunbeam. On that speck, every king, every peasant, every hero, and every villain lived out their lives. When you see the world this way, the all-important dramas of your daily life lose their power over you. The Stoics used a practice called the view from above. They would mentally rise above their cities, above the clouds, and look down at the bustling world below. From that height, the armies look like ants, and the magnificent palaces look like pebbles. This isn't meant to make life feel meaningless. It's meant to give you equanimity. When you realize you are small, you gain a sense of cosmic safety. You realize that the universe has been fine for billions of years before you arrived, and it will be fine for billions of years after you are gone. Julian returned to the city a changed man. He still worked, and he still cared about his craft, but the desperate need to be important had vanished. When a project failed, he didn't spiral into self-loathing. He told himself, "In the grand timeline of the stars, this is nothing." He found that by being no one, he could finally be himself. He started enjoying the taste of his morning coffee, the sound of the wind in the trees, and the simple joy of a conversation. Because he was no longer obsessed with his legacy. He was finally present in his life. We often fear being forgotten, but being forgotten is actually a gift. It means you don't have to be perfect. It means you can take risks, you can be messy, and you can fail without the universe collapsing. You are free to explore, to play, and to love without the crushing weight of expectation. Your smallness is the shield that protects you from the world's demands. In the philosophy of Zen, there is a deep appreciation for the ordinary. The goal isn't to reach the mountain peak and shout your name to the world. It's to chop wood and carry water with a quiet heart. The ordinary is sacred because it is free from the ego's demand for greatness. When you embrace your insignificance, you stop trying to make something of yourself and start allowing yourself to be. So tonight, if you feel overwhelmed by the pressures of your life, if you feel like you aren't achieving enough or being enough, I invite you to look at the stars or look at a grain of sand. Remind yourself that you are a tiny, temporary, and beautiful accident of the universe. You are small, you are insignificant, and in that truth, you are finally, truly free. You no longer have to carry the world. You just have to live in it.